Hi, welcome to the latest BattleGoat Studio developer blog.
We thought we'd give you a little quick update so that you get some idea of the type of discussions we have here in the studio that affect some of the features going forward. Certainly the feedback we get from our players is great, and on our forums we're getting a lot of discussion about the types of ways that the gameplay is affecting how players are playing the game, but there's a lot of things that seem like more minor decisions that often get pretty interesting debates here at the studio. And so we thought we'd talk about a couple of them coming forward. So we're starting to see more examples of combat in space, and this raises a lot of questions about how we want to do some of the mechanics, not just things like the spotting and the different weapons types we have, but also how they interact with the planets. One of the things that the engine supports right now is that ships can actually be in orbit around planets and therefore be exempt from being shot at or taking part in battles. And that created an internal discussion between Chris and I on whether that actually should be allowed. Should a ship be able to use a planet as a form of defense? In some ways, of course, a planet is quite large and ships can orbit around to the other side. In other ways, it seems like it might be a gimmick or a hack that shouldn't be allowed.
And some of this comes from the mechanic that had been created before, where on a planet level, we have aircraft that fly around and they must return to a base. Some of the initial mechanics behind the spaceships overlapped a little bit with Navy, a little bit with aircraft. And so we found the spaceships would return to a planet and you could still see their health bar, but visibly they disappear. They act like an airplane landed at an airport. And so the ships come to attack these spaceships and they're not there. They're down at the planet level. And so we're having some of these discussions trying to figure out, should they be forced up? Should your Space Force have to go out and engage? Or can they, as George suggested, simply hide around the dark side of the moon and wait and see when you're going to pop out? And it's again trying to balance that. We've also had feedback from players about invasion mechanics. So when you have 4 transport ships loaded up with your military, and you've taken out somebody else's Space Force so you can start invading down onto their planet, should you be able to land those transport ships just anywhere? Some of the recent debates we had was perhaps we limit them to open terrain, no mountains, no forests, no cities. The forum actually came back suggesting perhaps only in water, that transport ships have to land as if they're boats, and doing some of that sort of thing. So that's another of those topics that we are still having these discussions about internally and trying to decide what's going to be the best way forward.
And obviously every time we get to one of these, we start talking about all the science fiction shows that we've seen that have, the goal of one episode was that the ship would hide on the other side of the planet, or there's of course the Battlestar Galactica where they just pop into the atmosphere and pop out.
Unload their ships.
That's a popular one for us to come back to. Everyone says, oh, you can't do that. Well, we saw it in that episode. So obviously these are one of the things that we're talking about. Join us in our next video. We're going to talk about another of these internal discussions that we have at the studio that talk about different sorts of gameplay mechanics and how we're going to resolve them.
So remember to check out all our other videos, leave us questions down below, like the video, but you can also check out our BattleGoat Studios forums or the Steam forums to leave us questions there as well. I think we're still using hashtag GRQ for GR questions, and we'll try and get to those questions they come in as well. So yeah, check out our videos and we'll see you next time. Bye. He said it lets a planet hide in orbit.
Okay. Wow, which is actually a thing because that actually happened. That's the entire first Star Wars movie. The moon where they were on was hiding in orbit behind the planet, and the Death Star had to circle around to shoot it. So it is possible.